American racing evolved around the dirt track because the dirt track, you can resurface it between races, you can run in all kinds of weather, and the American racing pattern was to run at the same track for weeks at a time. So the dirt racing became the American standard. But in Europe, most of the racing is done on the grass, and we get an awful lot of horses coming over from Europe. So eventually they got the idea we should race them on the grass as well, and it's become a very popular part of racing, particularly at Saratoga. For my money, they're the most exciting races on the grass. They produce the closest finishes, and it adds a lot of variety. I think they look better. They're really a beautiful pageantry of the racing on the grass. We're lucky to have 2 grass courses. We use them both, and then significantly we use the inner turf course for steeplechase racing. Saratoga is known for the next step after yearlings, 2-year-olds, and the classiest, best bred 2-year-olds tend to emerge, make their debuts here in Saratoga. So a lot of the premier yearlings that you'll see at the sales, the next year will end up racing, maybe winning their first race. That's called breaking their maidens, winning their first races here at Saratoga. We have a couple of stakes for the 2-year-olds that it's the first time you can really start, maybe you're seeing your Kentucky Derby horses at the very first inkling. They got a long way to go, but some of our key races are already being looked at as a prep, as an indicator of what might run in the Kentucky Derby. The horses we're seeing now are the 3-year-old set. These are the same group that conducted the Triple Crown races. Now they're back for their summer season. This is kind of the trial run. The Travers in a couple of weeks is the big event. We're loading the horses into the gate. It's not a natural thing for horses to go into the starting gate. They have to be taught, and these horses, most of them look like they're handling it pretty well. We have a terrific starting crew. They know all about the horses. If there's trouble with a horse going in the gate, they know all the tricks of the trade to get him in the gate. One more horse to go in. They're all settled down. These horses have all been around the track a few times. We're seconds away from the start of the Jim Dandy. And they're off.
The first colt we have that we're going to be selling here at Saratoga this year that we want to talk about is hip number 18, and he's a Fusaichi Pegasus is his sire, and he's out of a mare named Rive de Sud. And this horse is particularly interesting because his sire is a phenomenon in American racing. He's the only son of the immortal Mr. Prospector to win the Kentucky Derby, and he did it in such a fashion where he just eased up at the finish line. So it was just breathtaking. And so Fusaichi Pegasus was bought by a Japanese man when he was a yearling for $4 million at public auction. And now his first babies are on the track, and he's already got 8 winners and 2 stakes winners. So there's a big buzz about Fusaichi Pegasus, and the word on the street is this is one of the best ones that anybody's seen, so we're expecting to bring a lot of money. When looking at a horse's pedigree or their lineage, there's 2 different factors. There's the pedigree, which is what you see on the page and what the mother has actually produced herself and what the father has produced. And then there's what they call the blood, which is the line that they hail from. So when you look back and you see names like Danzig, Secretariat, and Nureyev on the female side of the family, those are just, icons of the thoroughbred sport, and they carry a lot of weight. You can have a great horse that is physically very attractive and maybe better looking than this particular colt that we're talking about by Fusaichi Pegasus, but if they don't have those brand names, then they're not going to bring the premium. It just sets them apart, and when they retire to stud, if they perform, their value is much, much higher. This horse is interesting because he's a combination of his father and his mother. Fusaichi Pegasus is a very big horse, and when you saw him run, he just galloped his stride, looked like it was a mile long. Nureyev is more of a typical northern dancer. He's a little blockier kind of horse, very pretty though in the striking black color. So to me, you see the color of Nureyev, you see more of the typiness, but he's got plenty of size and substance as well. So when you do a mating like this, you're kind of hoping to get the best of both. And that seems to be what we've gotten here, whereas sometimes, the sire will dominate, sometimes the mare will dominate. They seem to have just come together and have a nice mix. He's very correct in front, very pretty, got the dark color, and he's just, the way he's built, his muscle pattern on him, he's just got great chiseled muscling all over him. He's just an awesome looking horse, basically. I think when you look at a horse, they have a certain demeanor, and nobody knows for sure whether that translates into performance on the racetrack, but it's that intangible thing of class that you think you can see in a horse. And this is a very stressful situation. They're coming from farms and very, tranquil life that they've always had growing up, and they're put into this situation where they're not going out in the pastures, they're being pulled out of their stalls all day, paraded up and down, people looking at them, people, touching them, picking up their feet. And it's like being on display all day long, and these are animals. They're living, breathing, creatures, and so it's not like a car. It's not like something you can just start up. So they might be in a bad mood, So it's the horses that can handle that stress that I think is a good indicator of class. How much they can handle, because when they go to the racetrack, they're going to have to be able to adapt to that too. Racing in and of itself is stressful. Putting in there the competition. So this is just like a very early indicator of how they're going to be able to handle difficult situations like that. So, and I think this colt to this point has done very well. The first filly that we have to talk about is hip number 65 here at Saratoga, and she is extra special because she's by the top stallion in the whole world. She's by Stormcat. And Stormcat costs $500,000 just to breed your mare to Stormcat. Her mother is called Turbo Lunch, and she is a sister to a filly that was a very good racehorse named Turco's Turn. But Turco's Turn is actually more famous for her son named Point Given, who was Horse of the Year a couple years ago. Tremendous racehorse, won the Preakness, won the Belmont. So she's different than the other horses we've looked at so far in that her residual value as being a filly by Stormcat out of that female family is huge. Her residual value, if she never wins a race, is probably in the area of $350,000. So, what we're looking to see what the market will pay for that premium to see if she can become a good racehorse, then she's worth infinitely more. So she's got, this filly is worth a ton of money, and she's going to have people with a very high demand to own her for her whole life, no matter what she does in the racetrack. So in essence, the pressure's off her. She's going to be well taken care of, and they're going to have people that really want to own this filly, no matter how she performs. But luckily for her, she's a very beautiful filly, got a great body. She's kind of a small filly, which some Stormcat fillies can be like that, but she's very athletic, very muscular, and wouldn't surprise me at all if she turns out to be a top-class racehorse. Basically, you have two different kinds of auctions for potential racehorses in thoroughbreds. You have yearling sales, where this is more like the raw product being brought to market, just like you'd bring any other agricultural product to market. We're bringing the horse that's been raised well, it's been, fed, it's been watered, it's had all the things done to it, but it's never been put into service as a racehorse. It's never had any of that done with it. So it's up to the buyer. You have to just watch that horse walk, watch that horse stand, and you have to try to make the estimation, will this horse be a runner? Now, the other kind of auction we have is the 2-year-old sales market, where you can go and they actually work the horses down the track. You can see them galloping, you can see them breezing, they're under tack, they have riders on them. And so it gives you a lot more information about that horse. The problem is that most horses don't go to those sales. That's only a very small, in the whole big scheme of things, that's a small percentage of the horses go to 2-year-old sales. So by far the biggest part of the market is the yearling sales. And there you have less of the variables filled in for you. And for a breeder's sake, if you come to a yearling sale and the horse looks good, you're going to get a great price. If you go to a 2-year-old sale, it might look great, but if it doesn't run good, you may not get your price. So most people prefer to take their yearlings, and sell them earlier as opposed to keeping them to their 2-year-old season.